Is it nuts?
Is it nuts to walk away from a bad marriage if you have
If you
kids?
have kids?
All right, I'll start. Um, First up, let me just say that if there's any possibility to save the marriage, save the marriage.
Yeah.
Just exhaust every avenue you can, because it's going to be a lot worse than you think it is.
Maybe he should stay here tonight.
It's my night.
Take it from me, from experience. Whatever you think it's going to look like, separation, divorce, no matter how amicable, civil it
Mm-hmm.
may be, it's going to be worse than you imagine it. It's very painful. I don't wish it on anybody. Having said that, I also feel that you could do a lot more damage in a bad marriage to the children.
Good point.
But this is where it gets tricky. What is a bad marriage? That can be very subjective. A
Yes.
bad marriage doesn't mean just because you fight all the time. It means if somebody's getting physically abused,
Abuse,
I would
yeah.
think that that's a limit for me. That's a line for me.
Right.
Because you're now not just thinking of yourself, you're thinking of those kids.
Right.
You're modeling the behavior that we talked about before.
Right.
You are, in fact, endorsing this behavior. If you have girls, you're going to be setting them up for a similar future because they will find familiarity in that pattern that you put out
Right.
for them. So there's definitely reasons to walk away. It's not nuts, but you got to be really, really, really honest with yourself. I can't stress this enough. Have you really exhausted every avenue? Only you can answer that, and your partner and your God. That's the only ones that you have to be honest with. If you really feel that it's like that, it's physical or complete mental torture where you're
Right.
really, there are lines. Talk to a professional and ask for their advice. But no, you are not trapped. That I don't think you should feel trapped.
Yeah.
If it reaches a certain point, it's not nuts. But
Right.
please try to save it.
My girls, it's just so unfair to the girls. Just. Another disappointment. Another letdown. Another father.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Wow.
So serious naman.
Yeah, I know.
Grabe,
no,
biglang
that
na
was
serious
great.
tayo.
Oo, good
Like
stuff.
I don't really talk about this a lot, but um yeah, that idea that you think, well, because sometimes when you make these decisions, you're making it from either a point of severe anger or you're so sad, or it's not your normal self.
Right.
So you'll frame this future that you're giving yourself a completely different way because you're justifying it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be better than this, got to be better than that.
Yeah.
This
can't-
too shall pass. Just know
Right.
that almost in everything, this too shall pass. And when that passes, you're left with the carnage.
Yeah. The
And
wake.
that carnage is real.
Right.
What Robert is trying to say is that we are getting a divorce.
Don't do this.
No. No.
I gotta say, I could have called this one.
No.
Yeah.
Is it our fault?
Is it because we were bad?
No, that's the main thing that Robert and I talked about is that we did not want you two to blame yourselves.
What can we do to fix it?
Dale, honey, are you okay?
Why are you calling him honey?
I cannot stress this enough. It is not your fault.
Whose fault is it? Oh!
Okay,
Right.
there are so many factors here. There are children, there's you and your partner, there are your parents, there are your siblings. This has such a big ripple effect.
Yeah. Your friends.
Your friends. Your friends.
Your friends.
Your friends,
They have to
bro.
choose sides.
You gotta choose sides.
Horrible.
Yeah, that goes in the division of assets. It's like, no, you can take that friend. I didn't really, never really got on with it. But I'll take this
That's really
one.
your friend.
Yeah, it was always your friend.
That's what
I was just a friend-in-law.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's big. So yeah, think about it like that.
Man. Rove. you
Oh,
wanna-
that was nailed.
Yeah, that was
nailed it
perfect.
spot
That
on.
was perfect
I don't
for me.
know
I don't really,
anymore.
I don't really have
Yeah.
anything to add on that. Just destroys people. It destroys people who stay in it, who don't do anything about it. It destroys. It's just like you said. There's this wake of destruction.
I think to
As it
sum it up,
permeates
it just
generations.
has to
Yeah.
absolutely be your last resort.
Yeah.
Your last resort. But there are always markers there that there's always a line.
Correct.
Physical, mental abuse, that's really torturous. Yes, definitely out. infidelity, if it's a kind of serial infidelity,
Mm-hmm.
that could also be something to walk away from as well.
Sure.
But we're talking serial. I mean, like mistakes happen. We just discussed another one earlier about something that
Yeah.
so long as it's not something that you really have an intent to repeat.
Right.
But-
How about the idea of I don't know, what are your ideas on like let's just stay together for the kids?
Okay, that's a tricky one
That's
too.
a tricky one. No?
Yeah.
That's-
Tricky
I
one
think
too.
that's
That I mean, that is commendable.
right.
I see what they're doing. Very commendable.
Right.
But again, you are. It can't always be about the kids. You have to have that dialogue with yourself. Again, like this. This is the relationship that I want.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, with the staying together for the kids, I that's a really, really tricky one
That's a
because,
very
like what
tricky one.
Rovi said, which I agree with, it's commendable, but again, up until a certain point, because
Yes.
what tends to happen here is in a perfect scenario, you stay together for the kids. They don't see any of this,
Yeah.
the problems that you
Yeah, yeah,
have.
yeah.
Okay, that's
They do, but
yeah,
they,
no, but if
yeah,
you let's assume that
Yeah.
the ideal scenario is you're able to completely mask it
Right.
from them, so they don't see it.
right.
But then later on, at some point, how long can you hide that?
Yeah.
And what tends to happen with couples who have stayed together just for the sake of the kids is they end up resenting the children because you're the only reason.
Wow.
No, and the
That's
children
a great
sometimes
yeah.
point.
no,
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah, yeah.
feel that
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
we kick down. We're like, if it
Yes.
wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been with your mother or
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been with your father.
Sure.
And they feel that.
Right.
And remember, most of what
Resentment.
we do, yes,
And it goes both ways.
both
huh?
ways,
It
both
goes
ways. So most of
Right.
our communication is nonverbal, right? It's
Right.
through actions, it's through feelings, it's through energy, etc. So while we think that we're not saying it, we
Right.
think that we're protecting them, they're
That's
feeling
such a
it.
great point.
And it becomes a little bit more psychological torture for them because
Yeah.
it's not a exposed problem that is black and white.
Right.
On top of that, you get to hide behind virtue. We stayed because of you.
Yeah.
It's you gotta again be honest. I think I'll frame it in the same way I said about the is it nuts to leave a marriage. You have to be very honest about it, and you
Right.
have to have also limits to it because if it's going to end up you resenting your children, I say
That's a bad deal.
it's a bad deal
That's a bad
for
deal.
everybody.
Yeah.
Because you can't go back later on and change that. You just can't do it
Yeah.
Right.
and say to them that they'll feel it. They'll feel that you robbed them of. They robbed you of your youth. They robbed you
Right.
of your freedom,
Right.
of your whatever it is. And if that ends up getting a feeling that they manifest, bad news.
Yeah.
Kawawa naman.
But kawawa naman.
Kawawa
So
naman.
Yeah.
we're imperfect. We're designed to be imperfect. We do the best we can all the time, but yes, there are sometimes where there's more damage than good.
Right. And this, I think, comes from this is where the idea. Yeah.
One last thing before
Yes,
I lose my
yes,
train.
of course, go.
There's a difference between doing things right and doing the right thing.
Ooh. Okay.
Bigat yan,
Say
no?
more. Say more.
Yeah.
Say,
Galing.
say more.
Say more. Well, doing things right is this is what's expected to be right.
Huh.
But is it the right thing?
Right.
Yeah.
No, if you are resenting your children for it and you're living in a complete loveless, unhappy marriage that you're now modeling for your children,
I
and
love
they
it.
will see that as, well, this is a standard I'm used to.
Yeah.
That's not doing the right thing,
Right.
but it's doing things
Right.
right because that's very appealing to society and
Yep.
everybody tick boxes, Oh,
Yeah.
maganda,
Yep.
maganda yan, good man yan. He stayed and suffered for 50 years, but no,
Wow.
no.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Galing. Well said. Well
All right.
said. Well said. Wow.